Welcome back, everybody. Second game of the day. We've got Betera and ESC up now to further this bracket. We got more quarterfinalists. We are going to decide who is going to be playing in the head-to-head in the semifinals tomorrow. Already a pretty packed day. Already a very chaotic game between Saw and ENCE. And now we get to decide another one. And two very interesting teams, right? Two teams that have been on a very nice come-up, especially ESC. You know, some they've been getting a little bit of negative attention, but they are kind of on the come-up, you know, very rapidly progressing through the ranks. They've got a lot of Twitter beef with a lot of people as well for various reasons, I'll put it that way.
I'm not even going to beat around the bush with it. There's accusations with these guys. People, yeah, you know, there's some players and coaches around the scene that are thinking, you know, maybe there's some dodgy stuff going on. But I guess we'll keep an eye on it today. You know, every protocol here in the Proving Grounds is sort of taken to make sure that we avoid anything like that happening. So hopefully this should be sort of a fair and even playing field. And against Betera, this should be an interesting game. Because to be honest, Betera are a side that have kind of come out of nowhere as well, haven't they? But we'll get onto them next. For ESC, it is a team that I've been around the block. You know, this was sort of the core of that Rebels roster that had quite a lot of success and made it quite far in various tournaments. You know, we got Olymp, Bajmi, Raiko, Sami, and Moonwalk. Yeah, a core that's been together with this team for quite some time. And as you say, prior to losing to BC Game, where they got humbled by Simple, they were on, I think, a 15 series win streak. Their win rates across all maps have been crazy. Their nuke is just like unbelievable at the moment. So yeah, I think this should definitely lean in their favor.
Yeah, they have absolutely been a storm that has taken over Tier 2 CS, right? And you're right, like the conversation, the only thing that sort of broke that conversation for a second is that they did get humbled by, well, I think most people still consider him the GOAT, right? Especially across multiple iterations of CS, right? Because Donk is kind of the new kid on the block, CS2, for the most part. But yeah. It's definitely going to be a fun one to watch. I want to see if, you know, they can treat that BC game as a bump in the road and keep continuing what has been an absolutely thunderous season for them. That being said, though, they're up against Betera, who themselves have also been on the come-up, right? They both teams, I guess, fall into the camp where they've kind of come out of nowhere. The pieces have clicked for them, and now they are competing for some of the top spots, making it all the way through to the quarterfinals here, potentially looking to book a spot at the semis right here in the Proving Grounds. Josh, you got anyone that we should be keeping our eyes on?
I'm gonna give you one little thing first. If you want any argument for Simple being the GOAT, right? Just think about when he hit that falling AWP shot on Cash, you know, the one that's got the graffiti and people get tattoos of it and stuff. Donk was 10. Donk was 10. Don't argue with me about who's the GOAT. We're talking different eras here, baby. It's like trying to compare Pele to Ronaldo. Interesting veto. Nuke coming up. ESC, of course. They have been unbelievable on this map, other than a weird loss against Forza Reload the other day, who I actually have a huge amount of respect for. And I think that they're a team that it's just really sad that they don't have VRS points to get invited to bigger stuff, because I actually think they're really good. Yeah, they have won this map every single time they've played it, going all the way back to June, and recent victories have been just wild. We're talking single-digit wins where they're stomping teams like Big 13-3. I don't see a world at all that they lose this first map of Nuke, which then puts a lot of pressure on Betera's Dust 2.
Yeah, definitely going to be a lot of pressure on that Dust 2, right? Like, dude, Nuke has been... I don't even know how to put it. Like, normally when you see an exorbitant amount of maps being... Sorry, an exorbitant percentage being won of maps, you usually zoom in and you realize, oh, okay, they've played like 3 maps. That's why they have a 100% win rate, right? But 96% across 26 maps. They have one blip on the radar of victories that they've had on Nuke. And even that was a 13-11. You scroll a bit... Most of their victories have been under 13-8. I think there was like one that came up to like 11 rounds, but for the most part, they have not been letting teams get past the halfway mark. That is an insane thing to be saying about a team like ESC. Like, these past 3 months have been oh so fruitful for them. It is an undeniably dominant position to be in, and I think it's one of the strongest win streaks we've seen on a map ever in Tier 2.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Absolutely is. Someone made an interesting point in chat I kind of forgot about. That actually, ESC are playing LAN this weekend. They're going to be at the Birch Cup, which will be in Gdansk. I'll be there, so I'll be on the scene, seeing how they perform. So yeah, an opportunity to sort of prove themselves on LAN. I think that these guys have proved themselves on LAN in the past, and are very clearly individually good players. But I think the question marks at the moment are this streak, this online streak of 15 best of threes.
I'm a little sad.
I don't know where this has come from.
I'm a little sad about the fact that in that particular cup, NIP have withdrawn because they're choosing to protect their VRS points. Because like, to do the math, like, it ends up working out better for them if they just don't participate at all. So I'm not a big fan of that happening. I would have liked to see NIP at the competition as well. But I mean, it's going to be fun to watch regardless. LAN's always a fun time. That being said, though, we'll reel the conversation back a little bit. So, Josh, I want to sort of hear the win conditions you're looking at for Betera, because obviously I think one of the players that jumps out at you when you look at the size of Betera is going to be Masval, right? Like 1.23 rating. He has been an absolute storm for the team, and he's not even a sniper or anything. No, he does not even touch the AWP for the most part. So I think he needs to activate, but what else?
I think there's a lot that needs to go their way, to be honest. I think it's not just a case of having Masval popping off. Obviously, he's been insane recently, but, Height and Cynix putting up numbers as well, as they're very capable of doing. I think Vert needs to wake up a little bit. He's been struggling in recent games, and if he can sort of put up a better performance today, then that will sort of close the gap a little bit between top and bottom, and hopefully close the gap a little bit between these two teams. The odds certainly suggest that this is fairly one-sided. Hopefully, we should be ready to get into the game soon. Normally, we go over to that screen because we're ready to jump in, but we've been thrown back. I think that means that there's maybe some delays, but yeah, this should be a good one.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, there's also a lot of similarities within the team, right? Like, I'm sort of looking at like Masval and Rico. I think the dynamic between them is going to matter a lot, because I'm not gonna say that they're like 1-to-1 in the way they play, but it's a close enough comparison that we can make about about riflers, because they kind of both have the same opportunity, the same responsibility. Maybe Masval is more of like the opening fragger than Rico is, but oftentimes, like, your opening and trade fraggers can kind of share the responsibility. You can either provide the firepower by having bait set up for you, or you can just be the direct entry in like sort of the way that Donk has innovated in Counter-Strike 2. I think Masval falls more into that Donk style of camp, and Rico maybe like slightly more towards a trade fragger, but it's close enough to make that comparison. Also, then you've got the AWP players as well. So I think I'm a lot of the time I try to look at like the pieces that aren't at the tippity top in terms of the narrative, right? Like, because oftentimes you just have the entry, you've got the AWP player, like you've got the star player, which is often an overlap with the entry nowadays. So I try to avoid that. I try to look at the supportive elements just to have like a bit of a spin on things. But I think for this particular game, the top end actually matters quite a lot, especially so. I think especially so for Betera, because they're not as well distributed as a team like ESC.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot to sort of break down there, but I'm with you. I think the biggest hurdle that Betera are going to have in this series is purely just the fact that I see Nuke as a bit of a write-off. Yeah, I actually really don't see a world that Betera win Nuke. ESC have just been so unbelievable on it recently. And I know that streak kind of has to end at some point. You can't just forever beat everybody that you play on the map. But yeah, it does mean that they're sort of going to be more than likely playing the series with an instant handicap. They're going to have to then try and claw things back from Dust 2 onwards. And that's always an awkward way to play a series when you know that you're almost guaranteed to have to pull off the reverse sweep. ESC starting things off on their T side, though, stacked up with the Glocks. They pull out the Kevlar, Samey yet to buy, so maybe a bit of util to come out on him. Yeah, no, not going to happen. Kevlar all round. This is going to be a fast one into lobby by the looks of things.
Not as fast as you'd like it to be.
Yeah, they have me excited. Yeah, no, it's pretty quick. It's still pretty quick. They've been given the site for free as well. This is weird.
Yeah, this was kind of a read from Betera, right? Just trying to overwhelm ramp, but I guess they're fine with just leaving it for the retake. 5v5 is never really too bad for the CTs on any area of nuke. But they do have to start to get a move on things. You don't want the timer to tick down too far before you get your hands dirty. Here it comes. They're going to start pouring out of heaven. Tenzi and Cynics start making themselves known. Moonwalk, one fight. Bajmi left all alone, peeks out of the smoke. They are going to start getting on top of the bomb, and with the defuse kit available, this is not going to be an issue whatsoever. Betera, last-ditch retake, ends up working out.
Yeah, that's good stuff out of Betera. Wasn't necessarily expecting to see that go their way after they'd given up the site for free, but it felt well drilled, well coordinated. As they swooped in for the retake, it was comfortable. It's a force buy here for ESC, but actually not as much behind it as you'd expect. Normally we see the Galils come out. Instead here, the MAC-10s in their place. Round number 2, Betera hungry to extend their lead.
One for one, things are going to get a little chaotic here on the A site. Labored spray means that ESC get a little bit of space, but Olymp, left all alone, has been given the margin necessary to get the bomb down. Just doesn't have the long-range weapon necessary to make this even possible. ESC. Gonna let Betera inch forward a little bit. Well, we've got a little bit of space. I really missed a bear in the logo that ESC had.
Yeah, me too.
It was.
Bring it back, man. This new one isn't it.
Just a shield without the bear. Come on, feels
Yeah,
a bit incomplete,
literally.
right?
What happened to him? I mean, I guess he was getting old.
Too many people said that they would choose the bear, and the bear did not want to be chosen, and it ran away.
Sad.
Shy. I like how there was a time in esports history where logos were all about who can make the angriest looking bear or animal, I guess.
Yeah.
Like there was like the progression of the Virtus Pro bear just like getting slightly angrier with each iteration, and then they kind of like.
And there were a lot of bears. There was Virtus Pro, there was ESC, you had MyXMG who had a bear as well. There were just a lot of scary bear logos.
Or just like open mouth logos like Team Dat, like the it's like no, was it Team Dat? Yeah. And then there was Game God Wolf.
Oh god.
The only
Don't get me
Indian
started.
team to make it to a major.
Goated stickers, by the way. Same. You know, they got in on some like ridiculous technicality. I was looking into that, like.
Yeah, because like they
had
had a specific qualifier. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Ooh. There's actually still some potential here. ZSC are down on the lower side, and they'll get that bomb down. Bajmi's found himself an M4. This feels like a very winnable round.
I'm really worried that Betera are going to overcook this. Bajmi and Olymp looking to defend. Smoke's going to make it a little bit easier to get on that defuse, and they need to do it soon. 5-second defuse, and finding him inside the smoke will be very difficult, but Bajmi will land the shots, and ESC get away with a round that was definitely not destined for them, and they get to break the economy.
Yeah, they do. That money's going to be weird now as we go into another tech pause. It was supposed to just be a freebie for Betera. They gave up too much room, ultimately. But it's at this 2-1 scoreline where we see the tech pauses that's got me worried now, because that's where things fell apart. That's where things fell apart the other
Nuke
day.
as well.
Yeah, I know. And we're back. No stress. Early man advantage. It's fantastic. From Tenzi onto Moonwalk. Height posted. Lovely shot. On him down. Betera are actually just generally looking better here. There should be another easy opportunity.
Knight sees him, trying to make him miss shots. He knows he can't back off, and he's got the support of Tenzi, so might as well still give it a crack. Good stuff. Also, that AK is kind of clean. Which one is that again?
It's the new one. I can't remember what it's called, but it's from one of those like new collections.
Yeah, it looks kind of like just a recolor of the Midnight laminate, was it?
Yeah, but it's green.
Very cool.
Tap on the bottom. Oh my god, Samey. That's pretty cool. He's not going to get away with this because, yeah, won't happen. He was really hoping that they weren't going to be coming down from ramp, and instead we're going to try and fly out of the single door, and his plant position would sort of throw them off tilter, but yeah, Betera right back to winning ways after a little bit of a shaky round to give up, but the economy
every round they add to
itself.
the tally just makes me a little more excited because we might get to see ESC be put on the back foot.
Yeah.
What if it was simple that broke them? And now their win streak is tarnished.
Yeah, even though they didn't even play Nuke. As PCK's permaban, they just got rid of Nuke. But yeah, it's just thrown them off completely. End of an era. We'll see. Flash goes over. Nice shot from height. It's the man advantage again. Mass fouls down below. Olymp's going to return the favour. That's a nice shot.
Betera trying to pace themselves, so want to keep those weapons intact.
Betera's still just got a lot of money here, though. I actually really like the call to say, you know what, let's just back off and save. You know, it was a 3 versus 4. It did feel kind of plausible, but yeah, they just decide not to touch it. Keep the money for the next, and here we go again. ESC, just with the rifles. They'll still have to face up against Exort, that's posted up here on ramp, looking to get a little bit aggressive. Samey needs to be careful, because Height comes with a nasty bite.
Very nicely done by Height. It's one of the dynamics we were talking about. We wanted to see how that AWP would shape up against the opposition. If he keeps this up, then ESC are going to be in for a treat. Ramp on the come up, though. Here it comes. Avert. Starting to back off. Wants to make sure that he's in close contention with Massvol so they can tag team up if they want to defend the B bomb site, but ESC have a lot of options. One of them being to walk into Height.
Moonwalk. Do a bit of moonwalking. He slips around silently. Raiko's found a massive double. And from a 5v3, they've now got space out onto the B site and a real advantage in the round. I mean, he's still low on health. As he starts to go back up, this was all just a ruse. They're still headed into A, and Betera have not moved a muscle. They know exactly what's up. This is really smart. I can't believe they didn't rotate at all.
Oh, dude, Tenzi. Can't believe ESC take them for a walk. This is already shaping up to be a very nice CT side by Betera. You add a couple of rounds to the mix, and you can start to get a little comfortable at the very least.
Moonwalk's going to be the man to cross. They're 4-2 down. And with the buy that they have at hand, it looks like Betera should be able to make this 5. That is so sloppy. A massive gap in the cross smokes. And this is a round that, like, you know, there's not too much invested here for ESC, but they've spent all their money. So if they lose this one, you know, it's still just pistols in the next. This is a round they actually need to try and win. Olymp, that's the right idea. Oh, turns away. I think he saw the foot. No, Masval's got him. Dialed in. Bashmi's found a 1D, but they're down on the lower side. They've still got the man disadvantage. They've recovered a couple of rifles, though, so I don't know. Maybe they make this work.
They'll have to very expertly navigate this. Like, the footwork needs to be immaculate. But Sammy, watched by Height, slowly inching forward.
Wow.
That is so good from Height, who just can't seem to stop. They've wound him up and they've let him go. That is such an impressive showcase of the versatility of Height Sniper. Up close, taking initiative, playing around ramp, on the retakes. Like, there is so much to like about this guy at the moment.
Yeah, he's hitting some real shots. Getting active, being relevant. 10-2 early on Nuke. And it's Cynex to open things up here, just up against the pistols. But yeah, if Height continues this kind of form, this kind of performance, you really can't help but feel that there's no stopping him in this map, but maybe it is time for ESC's win streak to come to an end. It's a nice shot back from Bajmi, but nonetheless. Oh, he's got to be dead here. There you go. 6-2, Betera. Looking exceptional. Oh, this is getting
really
very chaotic.
Yeah. We parried each other's thoughts here because, I mean, there's no other way to cut it, right? And Height's going to get found as well outside. Cynics, he can actually do quite a bit because he gets enough isolated duels here. Wanting to peek over the smoke. Nice attempt to try and get the angle. And Vert might get the same opportunity if they decide to buckle down and come all the way back to A. That seems to be what they're doing, but I think he's having second thoughts, trying to go around ramp. Looking to find something outside. Oh, he finds one, but it's really hard to find that long-range spray. Walks in. No, Bajmi, how do you lose that? Know exactly where Vert is, and now Rico is inches away from the blade of the Grim Reaper that is Vert. He's not even looking to contest it from the same angle. Instead, he's going for the full wraparound, and he's wrapping before the bomb is even planted. Mind games with each other, but the audio cue will be available for Vert. Knows that Rico just dropped into vents, and is going to be following him to try and sink his fangs into his back. Can't afford to drop down. Has to lose out on a little bit of information just to make sure that he can maintain the advantage of not being known. Has a rough idea where Rico could already be. Is being followed as he expected. Yes, there's a little corner in the smoke that he exploits. And that is ESC's lifeline back into the game.
Yeah, that sort of puts them back into a real position where they can win this. I mean, the fact that they almost throw a 1 versus 3 is alarming, right? For sure, but still, Rico holds it down, and those odds just sort of shift back in their favor a little bit instead of a 7-2, and you know, a real tilter of a round. Instead, it's 6-3 and a sigh of relief. Height's still causing him a lot of problems, so he looks to do the same here. He's been smoked off, so he will just escape. There was an opportunity for ESC to catch him looking the wrong way there. Maybe get an early advantage onto that sniper that's been causing him all the issues, but... for now, they'll just cross into secret. They'll make a lot of noise about it as well, so the back garage player is going to hear this, relay the info. Height's already down on the lower site. Does take the first, slips away, not quite. Traded by Rico.
Oh wow, Betera making quick work of them. I mean, Sammy and Bajmi still have a good opportunity here. Seem a little bit favorable. Sammy narrowly avoiding the nade. Bajmi has the opportunity to bring it to just 2 members. But
oh wow,
good timing from Cynics. Looks away. And Betera kind of streamlining their way to the victory, right? Like 7 rounds already. Money falling apart for ESC, and let me remind you that this is the ESC that has kept everyone at arm's length. They have mostly been shutting down teams under the 8-round mark.
tactical pause here for ESC. Trying to work out what is going wrong and how the hell to fix it, because this is really falling apart now. That was supposed to be their ticket back in. After the round win, you claw it back, 6-6, something of the sort. They just seem to have all the right plays, all the right timings, Betera. ESC can't seem to do anything about it. Smoke goes onto the door. Olymp still just tucked behind. He's going to blast it open, but right through the vent. See you later. It's a nice pick from Masval.
I would like to know what sensitivity Masval plays on.
Yeah, he's very quick, isn't he?
It's not just quick, it's also very shaky. Like, when he was getting pushed there in main, his crosshair is like vibrating.
Maybe he's just a shaky gamer.
Mm-hmm. That was my excuse for not being able to talk to girls. Just a shaky gamer, I promise I'm not shy.
That's fair. That's real. Tenzi already dropping down to the lower side. Look at this. He's wrapping around, trying to get a fast angle into Secret. Synix with a nice entry. I'm not sure he realizes that danger's close here. Maybe he does. He's on the angle. Oh, just goes down the ladder. Yeah, it's bad timing. Echo's got his number dialed in. A fourth round here for ESC wouldn't be too bad. 8-4 halves, nothing to brag about for a T-side hero map pick, but on Nuke, it feels like it's serviceable. The problem is the bomb's down. It's got to be recovered. So whilst it's a 3-on-3, this does favour Betera as it stands. Good nade. Echo's going to be wiped out as well. Betera make it 9. My god, what a half. What a half. Out of the underdogs on the map. The underdogs in the series.
I'm not really sure what is going on with ESC. Like, this does not look like a team that has mostly been dishing out death to all of Tier 2 and Tier 1.5. Like, it just doesn't fit the bill. Now, Betera leave one round short of double digits as they end the first half, and they're not too far away from the finish line. Like, it's very likely that if they win the pistol round, even if they don't, they can just stumble over the line.
So a technical pause before getting back underway, but it's fixed very quickly, and we are into the action once again. 9-3. This still feels recoverable for ESC, I'll be honest. They're now on their CT side, and, you know, it's the favoured side of their best map in the pool, and I think they've probably got the high, in fact, almost definitely, they've got the highest win rate over the largest sample size in professional Counter-Strike at the moment, so I don't think you can ever really count them out of Nuke. The way they've been playing recently, but the way that they're playing today certainly isn't up to that standard, not yet. Betera, no, they're a hop, skip, and a jump away from the finish. If they can win this pistol, this game's over. They're slow and patient about it.
Incredibly slow-cooked round. from Betera. Oh, opening kill from height. Olim's position, though, is incredible, but the shooting, not quite as much.
Yikes.
Dude, I do not want to be on the other side of that.
I think this just wraps up a 2-0 as well. If Betera are actually able to take nuke, I don't see a world that ESC off of a slow performance like this.
What?
Oh my god, maybe.
Fumble?
I am speaking too soon.
Okay.
No, but locks in and gets it over. That was way too close though. And obviously a must-win pistol round there from ESC going missing just really sends them packing, I think, for their map pick. Betera on to 10. And this has been pretty crazy. You know, every step of the way, I really felt like, okay, you know, this is where ESC lock in. Okay, no, this is where ESC lock in. And we're at a point where the game's going to be over before we see that happen. Olim and Tenzi, the fast trade. And a 4v4 as the T's work down to the B site.
I'd be trying to find a little gap, but instantly punish. What do you even do there? Too many targets looking right at you. They go next on the chopping block. And yeah, the outcome's the same. Betera, you're totally right. Just a double jump away from the finish line now. And I don't think there's any saving ESC from this. This would be their most devastating loss on Nuke ever. I mean, it's their second loss ever at all, right? And the only loss they had was like 13-11 in the past 3 months. Not sure why Betera elect to take the tactical pause, but I think it's just to try and zone out the money a little bit better. You see Masval opening up the strat book in the Steam notes.
Always good. I was with a team the other day that do that, and obviously they're not on their home PCs, they're on like event PCs, and yeah, every time they were doing it, they were getting the shift tab bug because they hadn't like done the fix. They'd done it on their home PCs, but hadn't done the fix on these PCs. So yeah, it'd be like, right, open the strat book, and then bam, game's crashed. Balls. Tenzi dropping down from on top of main. This is just a clean sweep into the bomb site as ESC went for a force. There wasn't all too much behind it, but they knew that they had to. The MP9s just get blasted away. Olimp down to 7 HP. And a 1v2 just doesn't feel all too viable. HG at his feet. It's going to send him flying forward as Betera press on to 12. And it's got to be the same kind of buyout of ESC here. Everyone's got about 3k in the bank. This is rough. Nice start. Maybe the start of a comeback for us. You ready? You're strapped in.
You can't start a comeback by saying you're ready, because you know how that ends. But okay.
Start your engines. All right, maybe we roll the credits.
Probably. Just a matter of time before Moonwalk is on the chopping block. 1 kill found, sure, but getting the last 2, I mean, if anything, it feels like there's probably not much motivation to even complete this, right? Such a tall order ahead of themselves, and the worst new game we have ever seen in the history of Team ESC. What a shutdown by Betera. Unfazed by the precedent that was set prior to this game. And Masval, a masterful performance that is only held a candle to by Height, who also was absolutely ruling the server.
Yeah, he really was. Mass value MVP as well. No surprises there. Popped off. But as did everybody, to be honest. That was a team effort from Betera. They gave it their all, and they really, really did shine quite bright on their opponent's best map. The boys who have been dominating the scene recently, dominating Nuke, and humbled a little bit today. So staring down the barrel of a 2-0 defeat, an early exit out of the playoffs here, and all of that hard work that they did to overcome big might go to nothing here if they can't beat Betera.
Yeah, Betera definitely looking propped up to take this in a 2-0 fashion, but you know what? It's not over yet. I think ESC is a team that has been surprising a lot of people lately, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if they can actually show us something crazy on Dust 2. So that's something I want to wait and see, and I'm sure you want to engage in that as well. We'll be back after a 10 minutes break to see where the action will take us. Welcome back, everybody. Map 2 is underway in just a moment, and it has been such a treat to watch what Betera has been able to establish. Their dominance and, of course, the tarnishing of what has been a relatively spotless nuke for ESC. Like, their worst loss before this was like 13-11. I can't even remember the scoreline we just had. What was that, like 13-3, 13-4? I don't know. It was just so one-sided that I genuinely could not care less anymore. It was a complete blowout performance. And I'm not really sure what ESC is supposed to do in the face of that. Now they get to play against Betera on Betera's map pick, so it's supposed to be the 2-bite special from Betera. But at least they've got the silver lining of starting on the defense to try and make a little bit of a comeback happen.
Right, Coke. We'll put the pressure on. It's Moonwalk to actually overwhelm Asphalt. The Sonics will return the favor. Goes into a 4v4. Samey wants a little piece of the pie as well. Oh, he does actually get it. Trying to tap up into top mid too. This is just looking like a revitalized ESC side. A little bit better than what we saw towards the tail end of Nuke. Sonics' Glock. Ooh, hits a dink. And he just gets on out of there. Bomb's headed over towards B.
With Betera having 2 players alive and bomb control, like, this is suddenly all that much more doable, especially with the first point of contact, potentially Moonwalk being so low, so he couldn't even try to serve a bit of a distraction. They're going to get to reposition on the ramp as well, and one of them gets to cross over. Now, this is an issue, especially if Wirt can get the first fight going. No, instant connection from ESC, and that is a big silver lining for them to have at the outset in this game.
A good recovery out of ESC. That's a good pistol round as well. Getting the bomb plant, Betera will put themselves in a position where, yeah, there's still a good chance they could claw this back in the next. They'll have a strong buy to come out. Their 2-0 hopes are starting to slip. And they will certainly further if they're not able to follow up here. All 5 leading over towards the B tunnels is interesting. Let's see what they can do with this.
Betera feign presence on middle. They've tossed out a couple of smokes as well. They're trying to incentivize someone pushing from behind. They want the flank to materialize so that they can try and punish it. But no one from ESC is going to bite. Instead, they just lock in on that 3-2 setup. But the solo duel might be allowed if they can creep up short. Oh, he's missed. Missed the timing. But still sticks around to fight. Smoke makes it a little easier for them to funnel Betera into bullets. By the looks of things, Betera seem like they're dead set on contesting short, eventually swinging out. That is a good find from Asphalt. 2 of them, actually. He is going to get caught in the back, but that does leave B pretty high and dry, scooping in through tunnels. There's only going to be 1 defender that is ready and waiting with the AUG. Can he get a swing on things? Can he get there fast enough? Yes, he can. That's one, but punishments are made, and they're going to have to watch out for height starting to creep up behind. Mac-10 is not a great weapon to have here. It's just Rico remaining. Tenzi's gonna swing. He runs out of bullets, and Betera will shut them up on round 2. What a bad position for ESC to be in.
That is disaster. Winning the pistol, losing the follow-up. It's just a matter of the bullets at the end of it as well. Painful. Painful way for it to go. So they'll come back in with a force, but only out of real necessity. The double eco otherwise. Really, really awkward. Damage dealt early. Okay, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. The CT push is working very nicely. Coordinated aggression maximizes the success. There's a trade back from height, so maybe a 1v3 on the cards here. He has got to be aware of the Ryko flank. To be honest, he should be. Oh my god, look at how Ryko's just tucked himself in the corner here. This is ridiculous. There is no way this goes checked. Zero chance. No. No. What?
Oh, that is so aware from height. Now Sammy's not going to have a clue. This is so specific from height. He decides to drop down, and as Sammy's looking away, he's going to find a timing. And because he sees Sammy going back, it almost feels like height can see right through them.
Get me out of here. Get me out of here.
No way, dude. Height. He's got ESP in his brain. No way. Hey, height. That is ridiculous.
It's one of those games. It's one of those games. Tactical pause, a hell of a clutch from height. Give him credit where it's due. I cannot believe he's clearing that right-hand corner in T-spawn, and then the way he goes about that as well just seems to have the perfect read on the situation. Locks it in. A second on the board for Betera. That almost went very sour, though. So, yeah, it's important to sort of take a little bit of a breather here and say, yeah, hang on a minute, guys. We do need to kind of lock in and make sure that that doesn't have to happen again, because continuing to play rounds like that and having to pull off these clutches is not largely sustainable. They've got to find that consistency. Interesting. ESC go for another force.
Betera just seems to be waking up on the right side of the bed today. Reiko, though, wants to try and turn their fate around. Deagle's starting to pop off, though. Bajmi puts down the heaviest hitter on the side. Masval taken out of commission. Little HP remaining on the CT side members. Positions now being triangulated. Tenzi knows exactly where that B-side player is, and enough space has been created. 3v3 Moonwalk, limping for life, alive by a hair's breadth. And once again, even when it starts to look like ESC might be able to do something, that they might be able to move the needle a bit, there's always a response from Betera, but maybe, just maybe, we can still see something nice. Distraction being served up by the scout rifle, just trying to buy time for the tunnels player to activate, moving right through the smoke. Oh wow, they're going to start circling around each other. Vert finds the fight, and now it doesn't matter that Moonwalk has crept up so close. It would have to be two perfect, pristine shots. And the only one that's doing that is height. Betera, great start.
Yeah, they're starting to run away with this a little bit now. Much better. It's just up against the pistols. Ooh, Height can't connect the shot. Masfal will draw first blood.
ESC, you're being just run over right now. Height's been playing so well the entirety of the game. Like, he started off Nuke incredibly strong, and although he didn't finish strong enough to like be at the tippity top, like he was kind of the glue that held them together early on in the game, which is why ESC could never really make it through past the doorway of ramp. And that disincentivized him enough to, you know, start going for those A crunches, start going for outside. So there was definitely a lot of impact that Height was able to establish with just a sniper. And you've got ESC being played like a fiddle again. There were multiple times where they could have pushed ahead in terms of the score, but then Height with his 1v2 clutch feels like he's just all too aware. Not really sure what the response from ESC is going to be, but at least weapons have been brought out again. Another gun round, another day. And I think overall, in terms of the series, this might actually be the weakest performance we've ever seen out of ESC as a unit. I mean, having a loss is one thing, right? But not having any say in the matter overall throughout the entirety of the series so far is a bit egregious.
Asphalt. Cracking things open early on again. Vert's going to follow up as Sammy has to run through the flames to escape. It's just another two-man advantage. ESC with no say in the matter here. Samy's going to follow up. At least claw something back.
The kills from ESC are incredibly sparse. They are shut out over and over. And as much as I'd like to chalk it up to strategy, it also just feels like on an individual level Betera are totally overpowering ESC. Not quite the accusation-worthy performances that we've now come to expect from ESC, right? Because they were looking absolutely crisp. And Betera running them over.
Just like, you know, rounds like this where the best you can hope for is exits. Just painful. Bomb's going to go boom. No one's going to go hunting all too hard. They want to build up their own economy. There's still a fair few rounds to be played. And I guess the way to go about that is probably not dying to the bomb. A little bit of an oversight from Tenzi, but it's not going to matter. (5-1) ESC. So wildly locked out of this game early. You know, if you'd have taken a look at the odds and the predictions at the start of this series, there shouldn't have been a chance in hell for Betera to win this, let alone 2-0. Especially when Nuke is the first map. Olymp's seen the front of the barrel, so he's not going to be coming off of this angle, but he might be in for a nasty surprise. The second's coming to peak. He lands the shot, but it's not lethal. Vert's going to catch the boost. What a start.
Oh, dude, that's gonna suck, right? Like, he's salivating over the prospect of a double there, but instantly gets his head chopped off. And I'm not really sure what adjustment ESC is supposed to make here. It just feels like they're consistently overpowered. And Betera are doing a really good job in the defaulting. They allow ESC to sort of overcook things by themselves. And when it comes down to the smaller details, Betera are just playing them right. Timings have been really good. Slightly better firepower overall. I mean, slightly might be underselling it, actually. Even now, they're getting ready to head into B, and until the final moments, there is no signage that they will go forward. I'm not sure if this is the worst game ESC have ever played, or if this is the best that Betera have played, or both.
Maybe a bit of both, but I'm seeing more sort of brilliance out of Betera than necessarily bad out of ESC, I guess. I mean, they just don't seem to have... The thing is, I was going to say, you know, they don't seem to be having any sort of response to what's going on, but they have been trying to take initiative. They went for the short boost last round. They've been trying to go for some, you know, funky opening plays and whatnot. And it's just not coming, you know? It's just not working. Betera have got all of the answers every time. Height's going to find the opening pick again. And 7-1, once again on the cards.
Yeah, Height is just unstoppable at the moment. Surely they feel a little hard done by this. Ooh, Rico. Finally a connection's been made, and it's a triple from Rico, who I was highlighting at the start of the game, that gets the engine going. Obviously nothing to write home about just yet, but if they can at least get the ball rolling, then maybe we can talk. There's a shot from Cynics. Heaviest hitter taken out. They're starting to scale up tunnels. Cynics has been able to find a kill, and now the Honest is going to be on Olimp to try and go forward, but how? How is this turned back into a 1v1? Your star player just got a triple, and he's still ready. Oh, Olimp. Thanking his lucky stars that he can hit the hairline shot. Because that could have gone oh so wrong.
All right, well, maybe a boost of confidence that comes with an Olim clutch like that. I mean, I hope so for ESC's sake. Otherwise, it's a rough start to their day. They've got another game a little bit later on against Arcred. Tenzi says, yeah, we're not going to let you get away with any kind of streak after a clutch like that. Big double entry. Samey takes one back, but an instant trade. Four v 2.
ESA kind of surprised that Vert misses those shots. An ambitious little Fama spray that doesn't find any victims. And Olimp. It was nice that he was able to at least secure the 1v1, but this is a tall order. And I'm sure you can feel the energy in my voice starting to dwindle because this feels. I mean, this is a game of almost despair for ESC, right? Like, I don't even want to fault them too much because it's one thing you pointed out is that they were taking the initiative, right? They went for the short boost. They've had a couple of short pushes. They have tried to explore middle. They've had a couple of moments where, you know, they got exploratory in tunnels as well, but Betera are so far ahead at the moment, and there seems to not be a single real response. Even when they have won those 2 rounds, they haven't been convincing enough.
Yeah, they just haven't. And honestly, individuals from Betera have been popping off. You see these just sick mechanical moments. Tenzi flying out of long tunnels and smashing 2 headshots. I don't know how you sort of recover and stabilize around as a CT side off of the back of that when in the first few seconds that's what's happening to you. Right, connecting with the AWP, Tenzi's going to follow up as well. Cynix overrun by the MP9s. And actually, that 2-man advantage is pretty short-lived. ESC perhaps back in the round, but also wildly out of position in a 3v3 when there's info that 2 are top mid. You send it into B. Whilst the bomb's on its way, they should be able to get this plant without any real contention. They need to be careful, though. Riker's behind them. Oh. Yeah, he's pulled the trigger. Now they're just going to send it right in.
Moonwalk. You can see them start to get desperate. Tenzi, one-on-one against Rika, who's been doing some really heavy lifting. And it's a nice shot to secure everything. Over and over, they are being bailed out, being kept just above the water by the stars.
The thing is, with sort of these rounds that prolong it, right? These rounds that keep you relevant, because there's been a couple now where, yeah, ESC have just sort of inched ahead, and had they have not converted, it'd be 9-1. And as I say, yeah, the issue with that is it needs to be the start.
Zenix. Opening kills over and over for Betera. Very few times where we see ESC up ahead.
Hello? Oh, my mic was broken. That's why there was just an awkward silence for a bit. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I kind of assume that.
We had to do the good old unplug it and plug it back in again.
Mm-hmm. Always works.
I was waffling anyway. I was basically saying that, you know, we've seen a load of the rounds that ESC have been able to take have been these sort of really awkward, like, clutch rounds or, you know, very, very close, basically. And that we need to see more than that in terms of those rounds then need to lead into something more convincing. And it seems like that's quite literally the only rounds they're winning. Good little double out of Ryko, but an unbelievable trade through the door. And now maybe there's a chance for another round out of ESC as Height has missed a routine shot. And that's their window. That's their opportunity.
Last 10 seconds, and they're going to elect not to go for it. Makes sense because they're saving so much more money. Surprisingly enough, even though ESC have just been barely bloodied, been dragging across in terms of the round finish lines, this isn't going to be a bad half if they can get one more round. I mean, sure, CT side a little bit more favored, yes, but at least when you zoom out, it looks good. Don't need to get into the weeds of the rounds if you can make that scoreline work for you. Oh, dude, the information is just too obvious for ESC. Sorry, for Betera. They know that ESC have gone ahead and cleared out tunnels. Height watching the angle as well. If Bajmi tries to peek even further, there's more players waiting for them. So now that it becomes obvious that most of the attention is funneled around outside B, that's where the mid players are going to start to activate. Little do they realize that there's 2 more players defaulting there, so even that could become an issue. Trying to sneak into suicide to try and take advantage of the players that are coming in from T-spawn. I think that was info. Yep, Tenzi, instant swing. And Sammy will suffer the same fate as they start pushing forward. ESC realize that they need to try and bolster the defense even further. They're continuing to throw bets into a sinking ship, and Height will keep raking them easily.
Sammy finally takes one back. But it's already around that I'm pretty sure they're not happy to concede as a loss, but have somewhat come to terms with it. Although, this is a really weird setup from Betera, because they've already got 2 up on the A site. The bomb's just sat in B tunnels, so either they need to go for a really long rotation to get that bomb on the other side, or they leave themselves vulnerable to maybe being shut down by the 2 boys that weren't necessarily trying to stack the B site. They were more so in pursuit of saving, I think. Well, no, actually, surely not. Is final round of the half, but they were just sort of on the wrong side of things. Olymp's left in the 1v4. He's done. Yeah, this was a really weird round, but whatever. Betera make it 8. That's an exceptional half. A good little sort of mini recovery at the end from ESC to make it not a complete stomp, but still very one-sided stuff.
Yeah, I think enough little clutches, enough small moments of success have come in from ESC to make it a salvageable game. But there's a long road ahead of them. Not only do they have to try and make the comeback happen on Dust 2, but then they also have to go ahead and keep their heads up on map 3, especially when Betera so far has just been punching down. They have been looking like a completely different weight class, despite being the underdogs. Oh, Cynics. Severed at the head. ESC have tons of room to maneuver around long. Bird doesn't get what he was bargaining for, but there is enough pushback to make this resistance palatable. 3v3, 3 different positions that they're coming in from, and they're going to have to watch out for the dualies.
Masval spams away at that kind of range, does well to find
no,
the kill
not the
without too many
1v1s.
Complications, but yeah, it's Moonwalk that's somehow clawed this back, and the Julies now with 29 points of health, both pretty low, not low enough for a body shot to be lethal. And Masval understands that, pops it straight into the head. It's 9 here for Betera, and that is comfortable. It should be comfortable now. It wasn't a comfortable pistol round, but it should be comfortable now to inch to this finish line. With the bomb plant, ESC should go for a force, but I don't know. It then puts a lot of pressure on it.
Betera, stronghold on the B site. And honestly, Tenzi has done all that he needed to do. Masval doesn't even expose himself till the very end. And it is going to be a bitter end for ESC. Moonwalk plays it carefully, goes for the knife. Trying to at least build up some confidence and some money, but He's only gonna get one of the two as he immediately gets nailed to the box with an AWP bullet. 3 rounds away from the grand finish line and their spot in the semifinals. ESC have not been against the ropes like this, and it's got to be a bit devastating, right? Because at this point, I'm sure the team is feeling like they're too familiar with victory. The only bump in the road that they faced was against BC Game, and that was obviously a monster game from Simple. But then for that to start their downfall, is that the storyline we're going with, Josh?
I mean, maybe, I guess. I really thought, you know, that they'd got a little bit lucky with this draw, playing against Betera. You know, Betera were able to upset in that opening round as well and beat TN out, the playoffs invitees. I thought, yeah, you know what, ESC, they've got a route to go all the way. They just come off of the back of a win in CCT. They got a route to go all the way, win the Proving Grounds here, and shoot up in the rankings. But yeah, this has been an interesting game. And Betera have just been head and shoulders above. It's been much, much better.
ESC trying to scale up long very quickly, and they're actually going to find a fair bit of success, but not for long. As Tenzi tucked into the pit, will quickly mow a couple down. It seems like every time ESC are about to lock horns with Betera, they're very quickly stopped right in their tracks. Oh, dude, looking at the POV of anyone who is victimized by height is just so brutal. You barely get to see where you're getting attacked from. And this is it, Josh.
Yeah.
It looks like this has been a walk in the park for Betera. 3 rounds given up on Nuke. 4 rounds so far on Dust 2, and I think the story might be over here soon.
Yeah, I should be. Mate. It looked like the plan was to save, but now that he's taken contact with the AWP, he seems to want to press up onto the A site. Height's low. And to be fair, if he can kill him, then maybe there's an avenue to a round win here. As soon as he peeks that corner, he hasn't got a smoke for the cross, so there's just 2 different players watching him with different elevations, different ranges. Too hard to adjust. $12-4.
Betera taking ESC out to the shed. They are getting ready to put them down in this tournament. Bajmi and Moonwalk waiting to be received. It is all over. The team that disallowed anyone, that disallowed 90% of their opponents on Nuke from getting past 8 rounds, will only have 7 to show for an entire series, Josh. How crazy is that?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Not what I was expecting at all. I was anticipating a 2-0. It wouldn't have surprised me if this went to 3 maps, but I was anticipating a 2-0 going the way of ESC. Not like this. This is bonkers. Betera are just 1 more kill away from locking their place in the semi-finals, sending ESC home and crying. And it's going to come through right here and now. Bajmi We'll have one more to his tally before falling, but 13 for Betera. Make very light work of a team that have been on everybody's radars at the moment. As a side that have been just popping off, winning every single match. Height went 20-7. He had 120 ADR. It's unplayable. Some big clutches from him as well. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you even supposed to do against that, right? And especially when everyone has the potential of activating on Betera. Like, that clutch from Height where he just totally mind reads them. He's just like Dr. X. He can read everything, right? Plays them like a fiddle. Like, after that clutch, I just knew it was set in stone. This game was over. Like, there's no getting better than that, right? It was a done deal, and I can't believe we're saying this, but the team that has only allowed 8 rounds for most teams to get past only ended an entire series with 7. Something I said before, it's worth reiterating. 7 damn rounds across an entire series, and that was an incredibly dominant way for Betera to get into the semifinals. You know, if there's any doubters out there that thought, you know, they've stumbled into the quarterfinals against TNL, anything of the sort, no, absolutely not. They have decimated ESC by every stretch of the imagination, and I think this is shaping up to be such a nice little bracket, Josh.
Yeah, absolutely. We've still got to determine those other 2 semi-finalists. Of course, Fnatic Namiga and Foot against... Oh, my brain's not working and I've forgotten who they're playing against. Partisan, that's the one. So they both should be interesting. Of course, the winner of that Foot Partisan game will be against Betera. The winner of Fnatic Namiga will face up against Ents. So we've still got some interesting CS to unfold. And yeah, seeing who makes it through to those semis and into that grand finals taking place tomorrow is what I want to see. But that's not going to be us bringing you through it. It's going to be our lovely colleagues, right?
Yep, it is going to be our lovely colleagues bringing you through the rest of the action, because this broadcast is pretty damn long, but of course it is, right, because you want to catch all of that wonderful Counter-Strike action. It's going to be a fresh set of faces for the rest of the action. It's going to be Faraz and Josh tuning out. It has been a lovely time on the broadcast, and I can't wait to catch the rest of the quarterfinals from my phone.
Yeah.